She noticed you the moment you entered the room, not because of your clothes, not because of your money, but because of your presence. And yet you walked right past her, thinking you were just another guy. Here's what no one tells you. Attraction isn't always loud. It's quiet, subtle, strategic. It hides in glances, shifts in body language, the way she adjusts her hair when you're near. And most men? They're too distracted, too insecure, too focused on chasing validation to even notice it. But if you're a man who walks with calm, who doesn't need to speak to be respected, you'll start seeing signs. And once you learn how to read them, you'll stop chasing women, because they'll start chasing you. So if you're ready to spot the signals most men never catch, stick around. And don't forget to hit subscribe. You're about to see yourself through a whole new lens. Sign 1. She locks eyes, then looks away fast. Plus, you walk into the room. You're not trying to impress anyone. No flashy clothes, no loud energy. Just you, solid, composed, and present. Then it happens. A woman catches your eyes, and for a split second there's a charge. But before you can even hold it, she looks away. Quickly. Almost like she got caught doing something wrong. Most men would miss it. Or overthink it. Was she just scanning the room? Was it a coincidence? Am I making this up? But here's the truth. That quick eye contact followed by a sudden look away is not an accident. It's a subtle, almost primal signal, and it means more than you think. Let's break it down. Women are experts at protecting their intentions, especially when they're around men they find attractive. And when a woman is genuinely intrigued by you, especially if you're older, grounded, and carry that stoic masculine energy, she won't always lean in, she'll pull back. It's biology and psychology working together. The eye contact is a spark. The look away, it's self-protection, desire, and curiosity colliding in a single second. Now picture this. Greg, 42, divorced 2 years, back in the dating scene. He's been hitting the gym, working on his business, and reconnecting with his own standards. One afternoon, he walks into a wine bar. Nothing dramatic, just casual confidence. He orders a drink, notices a woman mid-32nd, stylish, intelligent-looking glance at him. Their eyes meet. She holds it for a beat, then looks down at her glass, pretending she didn't feel it. She's not shy. She's not rude. She's reacting to presence. This is the kind of attention men like Greg miss because they're still wired to expect loud signals. But younger, emotionally intelligent women, especially those drawn to high-value men, play it differently. They signal in silence. Now here's what separates the men who get it from the ones who don't. The average guy? He chases the moment, leans in too fast, tries to break the tension with a joke or a compliment. He gives his power away before the dance even starts. But the stoic man? He doesn't chase it. He acknowledges the energy and lets it breathe, because he understands what Epictetus taught. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. He doesn't need her to act. He knows the gaze said enough. And when you do this, when you allow the tension to exist without rushing to fix it, you create contrast. You become the calm in her internal storm. This is what women remember. So the next time you catch her eyes and she looks away, don't flinch. Don't smile nervously. Don't chase it. Just breathe. Hold frame. Own the moment. Because that single glance might be her telling you without saying a word, I saw you. And I hope you saw me. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever caught this kind of look and didn't know what to do with it? Drop a comment below with, I've seen it. Let's see how many of us have been walking through the fire without even knowing we were burning. Sign 2. She keeps showing up near you. You're at the gym. Or maybe it's your local coffee shop. You've got your routine, your space, your rhythm. You're not looking for anyone. You're not broadcasting signals. You're just present. And yet there she is, again, maybe 2 treadmills over, maybe browsing the same grocery aisle, maybe sitting near you when the whole place has empty seats. Coincidence? Possibly. But after the 3rd, 4th, or 5th time, it's not just random anymore. It's intentional, and it's subtle psychology at work. See, women who are drawn to high-value men don't always approach directly, especially when that man carries the kind of calm, grounded energy that can't be faked. They don't always flirt out loud. Sometimes they just orbit. And orbiting isn't passive, it's deliberate. Because showing up near you repeatedly is her way of saying, I want to be seen by you, but I'm not going to make the first move. And now, this is where the average guy blows it. He assumes it means nothing, or worse, he overreacts. He gets loud, awkward, too eager. He tries to force a connection. But if you understand female psychology, especially in the context of Stoic masculine energy, you'll read it differently. You'll see what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, don't react like the rest. Stay composed. Don't interrupt your flow to chase validation. When she keeps showing up near you, what she's really doing is entering your world. Quietly, carefully. She's studying how you carry yourself, how you treat others, how you handle pressure, how you move through space. This is attraction on a deeper level. It's not about what you're wearing or how tall you are. It's about how you lead your life without needing anyone's permission. And if you're the kind of man who stays in control of his time, his attention, and his emotions, you'll respond not with words, but with presence. That's the power of the Stoic frame. It doesn't demand attention, it invites it. Now here's the catch. Her showing up near you isn't a test for you to solve. It's an invitation for her. She's trying to decide if you notice her without needing her. That's the key difference. Because if you can make a woman feel seen without acting needy, and if you can stay in your lane while allowing the energy to build, you become magnetic. Women are pulled toward that. So don't disrupt your pace. Keep doing your thing. Let her stay in your field long enough to realize you're not chasing, not ignoring, not performing. You're simply being. That's the kind of masculine presence that turns just another guy into a man she keeps thinking about even when she walks away. Now be honest, has this ever happened to you? Have you noticed someone popping up in the background again and again? Drop it in the comments with, "She showed up." Let's see how many of us were being watched and didn't even know it. Sign 3. People quiet down when you speak. Let's paint a simple scene. It's a dinner party. A few people are chatting at the table. The volume is rising with laughter and side conversations until you open your mouth. And without anyone saying, "Shh," without raising your voice, without even trying, the noise drops. People lean in. They pause. They wait. That's not just manners. That's presence. This is one of the clearest signs of real-world attractiveness, and it has nothing to do with looks, fashion, or wealth. It's about gravity, the kind of quiet power that pulls attention rather than demanding it. High-value men aren't loud. They don't dominate with volume. They command with energy. And you know who notices this first? Women. Let's talk about how this works in action, because it happens in small moments. Take David, 52, from Colorado. Divorced, ex-military, now runs his own carpentry business. He's not flashy, doesn't say much, but when he talks, people shut up and listen. At a friend's BBQ, he was explaining something about building a custom oak table. It wasn't sexy, it wasn't funny, but something about how calm, clear, and intentional he was made people naturally slow down and tune in. Among the group was Marissa, 39, successful marketing director. She told a friend later that night, "I don't know what it is, but when he speaks, it's like everything else fades." That's what we're talking about. Not attention that's grabbed, attention that's given. There's a psychological reason for this too. According to research on group dynamics, People subconsciously defer to whoever demonstrates calm dominance, not chaos. In other words, when someone speaks from a place of confidence, not ego, the room naturally recenters around them. And Stoicism, it backs this up completely. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But when a Stoic man does speak, what he says matters. It has weight, not because he forces it, but because he's practiced the discipline of restraint. In contrast, guys who always have to win the room, who crack jokes too fast, interrupt, raise their voice to compete, they actually leak power. And women feel that. It's not attractive, it's insecure. So if you're the kind of man who people get quiet around, not because you're intimidating, but because you speak with purpose, you're sending a signal that's louder than any pickup line. You're saying, "I don't need to raise my voice. My presence is loud enough." And women respond to that, because deep down, they crave not just protection but emotional safety. A man who doesn't need to overpower to be powerful. A man who isn't afraid of silence because he's not afraid of himself. Now, has this ever happened to you? Has a room calmed down when you started talking, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it? That's not luck. That's the mark of a man who's done the inner work. Drop a comment if you've ever felt this shift. Something simple like, "They paused." Let's see how many of you have that quiet fire already burning inside. Sign 4. She mirrors your body language without knowing it. She doesn't need to say a word. Her body says it all. When a woman mirrors your body language, and she doesn't even realize it, that's when you know something deeper is happening. This isn't just flirtation, it's biology. Let's break it down. You're sitting across from her. You lean back, and a few moments later, she does the same. You cross one leg over the other, and hers follows. You bring your hand to your chin, and she matches your motion as if her body is synced to yours. These aren't conscious choices. She's not studying you and deciding to mimic you. That would be manipulation. What you're seeing is called limbic synchronization, a phenomenon in neuroscience where 2 people, emotionally connected or engaged, begin to reflect each other's posture, tone, and movement. It happens at the level of the nervous system, not the mind. This is attraction at the root, not performative, not loud, just instinctual. And here's what makes it powerful. She only mirrors men whose energy she's drawn to, men who have a calm command of themselves. That kind of presence sends a signal her subconscious responds to. Let's zoom into a real-world scenario. Imagine Scott, 47, a divorced father of 2, sitting at a coffee shop with Lara, a woman he met at a community event. He's calm, confident, not trying to prove anything. As the conversation flows, he shifts in his seat, and 5 seconds later, she adjusts the same way. When he leans forward slightly to make a point, she does too. It's not rehearsed, it's resonance. Now let's tie in the Stoic perspective. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Men often overanalyze what women are thinking. They want confirmation, they want obvious signs. But the Stoic man doesn't need noise. He watches, he observes, he lets behavior speak for itself. When a woman begins to mirror you, that's your signal, not to react, not to get cocky, but to hold the energy that invited that response in the first place. The more relaxed and centered you are, the more permission her body feels to open. That's why a high-value man doesn't chase validation. He becomes a center of gravity. She orbits because the pull is real, but it's also fragile. If you break the moment by reacting, smiling too hard, shifting nervously, trying to use the signal, you break the invisible thread. That's why Stoicism matters here. It gives you the stillness to just let things be. In fact, Marcus Aurelius captured this best when he said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Translate that here. The best way to receive her interest is to remain unlike the men who get excited too fast and lose their balance. You don't try to win her over. You let her meet you where you already are. Because when she's unconsciously mirroring your posture, she's not just attracted, she's aligned. And alignment is rare. That's why most men miss it. They're too busy looking for the big fireworks and ignore the quiet sync of body language. But the body doesn't lie. So next time you're around her, or any woman you suspect might be into you, don't just watch what she says. Watch what she does when you move. Watch how she breathes when you slow down. Watch if her foot turns toward you when you speak. It's not just science, it's seduction in its most natural form. So let's bring it back to you. Have you ever been in a conversation where a woman started copying your posture, your gestures, or even your tone without realizing it? If yes, tell us with 3 simple words. She mirrored me. That's it. Let's see how many of you have experienced this unspoken language of attraction and just didn't know what it meant until now. Sign 5. She complements your presence, not just your looks. There's a moment most men overlook. She leans in, her eyes soften. She says something like, "You have this calm about you." Or, "I don't know why, but I feel safe around you." She's not complimenting your haircut. She's not talking about your style. She's feeling something deeper and rare. She's talking about your presence. A man's presence isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention, but it's unforgettable. It's the felt sense that he's grounded, not grasping, rooted, not rattled. Let me paint a picture. James, 48, divorced, former Navy officer, now runs a small woodworking business in Boulder. He meets Nicole, 39, corporate trainer, recently out of a 6-year relationship. She's sharp, self-aware, not here for games. Their first date, a hike. No pretense, no performance, just space to talk or not. What strikes Nicole isn't James's stories or his physique. It's the way he listens, the way he pauses before speaking, the way silence with him feels comforting, not awkward. Later that night, she texts him, "You make everything feel still." That's rare. That's what we're talking about here. That's not charm, that's not game. That's masculine presence in action. It's the quality a high-value man builds not by chasing women, but by mastering himself. And this is where Stoicism quietly steps in. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." That inner peace, that's your foundation. That's what she's picking up on, even if she doesn't fully understand why. Because most men are chaotic inside. Their eyes dart, their speech races, they're performing, pleasing, seeking validation. So when a man walks in carrying calm like it's part of his body, people feel it, especially women. They feel it in the way you look at them without trying to impress. They feel it in the way you sit without fidgeting. They feel it in your breath, your pacing, your ability to hold space for what is without needing to fill the air. And that's when the compliments shift. From, "You're cute," to, "I like being around you," or, "You feel safe to me." These are not light compliments. These are signals of real attraction coming from her nervous system, not just her eyes. It's also why many attractive men don't feel attractive. They think it's about visual appeal. But women are tuned to emotional safety, not just aesthetics. A man with presence can walk in behind 6 hot guys and still be the one she watches. Not because he's louder, but because he's quieter and deeper. Here's the key. Your presence is the result of how you live, not what you say, not what you wear. If you avoid drama, stay disciplined, pursue purpose, and keep your emotional world in order, you start to radiate a calm that pulls her in. And when she compliments you on that, don't brush it off. Realize that's the type of compliment that signals something lasting. Because what pulls her in isn't just how you look, it's how you feel to be around. It's the energy that says, "You don't need to entertain me, you don't need to fix me, you don't need to chase me. You're already whole." That's what women crave but rarely find. So if you've ever heard a woman say something like, "You're easy to be around," "You calm me down," "I feel safe when I'm with you," that's not random. That's your high-value presence doing its work. If that's ever happened to you, even once, claim it. Drop this in the comments. "She felt me." Say it with confidence, not arrogance, because now you know what she was really complimenting. And it has nothing to do with your looks. Sign 6. You catch her stealing glances when she thinks you're not looking. She thinks you didn't notice. She's across the room, pretending to scroll through her phone, or casually laughing at something her friend said. But her eyes, they're not focused on the screen or the story. They're watching you. And when your eyes suddenly meet just for a second, she looks away fast, pretending like nothing happened. That right there is one of the purest signs of attraction most men overlook. Why? Because she's not trying to flirt. She's not performing. This isn't a move. It's subconscious, almost primal. When a woman feels drawn to a man's energy, his presence, his stillness, his confidence, she checks him often, quietly, repeatedly. Sometimes she doesn't even realize she's doing it. These glances aren't about curiosity. They're about confirmation. She's asking herself silently, is he still here? Is he looking at someone else? Does he seem grounded? Unshaken? But she's not going to just walk over and tell you, because feminine energy, especially high-value feminine energy, responds. It doesn't chase. Now let's zoom out for a second. Why do these glances matter? Because attention is currency. And a woman's subtle attention is worth more than any loud compliment. When she's watching you when you're not watching her, she's showing interest without ego. This is where Stoic awareness becomes a power move. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." Now, how does that apply here? Because the truth in attraction is usually unspoken. It's not what she says, it's what she doesn't say, but still reveals. And if you're emotionally grounded, stoic in the way you observe without needing, you'll catch those signals. You won't overthink them. You won't chase them. You'll just notice and stay present. That's power. You don't need to react. You don't need to flirt back or break the moment with a joke. You simply allow the silence to stretch, let her curiosity build while you remain composed. The more composed you are, the more she watches. Not because you're mysterious on purpose, but because you're not performing for her. That contrast, that's rare. Most guys, once they sense attention, start putting on a show. You're not like that. And she senses it. She keeps looking and looking away. It becomes a game she plays with herself. And every time she does, she's reinforcing one thing. You hold a charge, not because you're the most handsome man in the room, but because you're the most centered. And that makes you unpredictable in the best way. You're not chasing, not proving, not overexerting. You're just there, fully present. That's why those quick glances feel different from random eye contact. They come with nervous energy. They're laced with a kind of soft tension. She's intrigued. She's observing. She's wondering what it is about you that holds her like a string she can't cut. Now don't chase that validation. Don't even need it. Let it pass through you like wind through a tree. Acknowledge it inwardly, then return to yourself. That's the move. Because when she sees that you've noticed her noticing and you still didn't break your frame, that's when everything changes. She starts to wonder, why doesn't he react like the others? Why does he seem so still? That's when you go from interesting to unforgettable. If you've ever caught a woman watching you when she thought you weren't paying attention, and you played it cool, drop this in the comments. She thought I didn't see. That's your confirmation. Because her glance says more than her words ever will. Sign 7. Men either compete with you or fall in line. There's a certain energy a high-value man gives off that doesn't just attract women, it changes how other men behave around him too. If you've ever noticed that guys either try to subtly one-up you, interrupt you more than others, or go strangely silent and defer to your lead, that's not a coincidence. That's social proof of presence. And yes, it's a sign you're way more attractive than you think. Let's break this down like a conversation between us guys. Imagine you're at a backyard barbecue in Houston. Mark, 48, walks in wearing a simple tee and jeans. No flashy watch, no loud voice, just calm, composed. But soon, other guys start adjusting their posture when he's nearby. The talk gets more competitive. One guy brags about his truck. Another starts flexing career achievements. And yet, Mark doesn't even say much, he just listens. That's dominance without domination. That's what masculine presence does. And women notice. What's happening here? You've entered what psychologists call status recalibration. It's when others instinctively reassess their position based on your unspoken confidence. And men, especially insecure ones, either try to reclaim dominance or they fall into a more submissive, agreeable role. Women are highly attuned to this shift. They're not just watching how you talk to them, they're watching how other men respond to you. If you walk into a room and the energy changes, if guys get louder or quieter, it tells her something primal. This man matters. The Stoics had a deep understanding of this kind of quiet power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's the key." A high-value man doesn't posture. He doesn't chase approval. He simply shows up, grounded in his own presence, and lets the room adjust around him. Now, if you're a man between 35 and 60, this dynamic plays out even more subtly. You're not trying to outshout the 20-somethings. You've lived enough to let your body language do the talking. That quiet confidence built from years of experience, heartbreak, wins and losses carries a weight that younger men can't fake. Take Stephen, 54, from Oregon. He started noticing that at work meetings, younger colleagues would speak over each other until he began to talk. Then, like clockwork, they'd slow down, take notes, and wait for his take. It wasn't because he demanded authority, it was because he exuded clarity. His presence calmed the chaos. That kind of energy is incredibly attractive to women. Why? Because it signals safety and certainty. It says, this man won't be rattled by mood swings or drama. This man can hold space not just for himself, but for her too. And that's the shift. When men start reacting to you, it's a broadcast to everyone, especially women, that you're someone worth aligning with, not someone to test or toy with. Let me ask you, have you ever walked into a room and felt the tension shift, even though you said nothing? Have you seen another man change his tone or behavior because you were nearby? If you felt this, you've already seen your impact. You just didn't recognize it for what it was. Women see it, and whether they admit it or not, it draws them in. So now's the time to own it. You don't need to talk louder. You don't need to dress flashier. You just need to keep showing up in full masculine energy, grounded, silent when needed, firm when required. And if this resonates, I want you to say it in the comments. I've seen this. Let that be your moment of recognition. You're not invisible. You're powerful in ways you haven't been taught to notice. Sign 8. People assume you have options, even if you say nothing. There's something undeniably powerful about a man who says less, but seems to have more. You walk into a room, you're polite, you're grounded, you don't brag, you don't chase, you simply exist, yet people assume you've got something going on. Especially women. They sense it in your stillness, in your eyes, in the way you're not urgently trying to prove anything. This right here is one of the clearest signs you're more attractive than you think. See, modern masculinity has taught many men to speak louder, post more, be seen constantly to be valued. But high-value men, they flip that. They build gravity by doing less and letting others project curiosity. Why? Because when you carry yourself like you have options, even when you don't explicitly say it, your behavior changes. You're not clingy, you're not reactive. You're not asking for validation. You're simply selective. That alone radiates strength. And women pick up on it immediately. It's not just about dating. It's about how you carry yourself in every interaction. At work, people assume you've got opportunities waiting. With friends, they notice you're not always available, and they respect it. On social media, you're not flooding the feed. You move in silence, but when you speak, it lands. Now here's the psychological mechanism behind this. It's called pre-selection. The subconscious belief that someone must be desirable if others appear to desire them, or if they appear completely unbothered by the need to be desired. This is primal, evolutionary. If you're not begging for attention, others assume you already have it, that you're choosing your interactions, not chasing them. And that's the core of what makes people want to be chosen by you. You become the prize. There's also a Stoic angle to this. As Epictetus once said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. This includes people's opinions, their attention, their approval. When you live this way, when you stop worrying about being seen, you become the one worth watching. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You're operating from inner value, not external desperation. Here's how this shows up in the real world. You don't jump to answer texts right away, not as a tactic, but because your life is full. You listen more than you speak, and when you do talk, your words are measured. You don't post for likes, you share when there's something worth sharing. You don't try to impress every woman in the room, you connect with the one who's earned your attention. All of this signals one simple truth. You have options. Even if you're not dating anyone right now, even if your phone is dry. The point isn't to have endless options, it's to carry yourself like a man who knows his value and wouldn't settle for less than someone who sees it too. Women respond to this deeply. And the beauty? You don't have to fake it. You just need to stop over-explaining yourself, stop oversharing, and start owning your lane. So, if you've ever been told, you seem like you could get anyone, but you didn't understand why, that's why. You're radiating quiet power, and that speaks louder than charm or lines ever could. If this speaks to you, tell me in the comments. I won't explain my value. I'll show it. Let that be the energy you move with from this point on. Sign 9. She gets nervous when you're calm and close. Let's talk about something subtle but powerful. You're sitting next to her. You're not saying much. You're calm, relaxed, grounded, and suddenly she starts fidgeting, playing with her hair, checking her phone for no reason, laughing a little too loud at nothing. Her breathing shifts. Her voice wavers slightly. That's not nothing. That's attraction showing up in real time. When a woman gets nervous in your calm presence, it's not because you intimidate her in a bad way. It's because your stillness is making her feel exposed, seen, off guard, and maybe a little turned on. Why? Because calmness in a man is not just a mood, it's a message. It says, I'm in control of myself. I don't need anything from you. I'm not chasing. I'm not performing. But I'm here, fully present. That presence is powerful. And in contrast, it highlights whatever internal storm she might be feeling, especially when she finds you attractive but hasn't quite processed what to do with that energy yet. Let me paint you a scene. Ryan, 34, meets Ashley, 29, through mutual friends at a late-night jazz lounge in Austin. They talk casually for a bit, but what gets her attention isn't his jokes or his stories. It's the moment when they're sitting on a leather couch, drinks in hand, and Ryan goes silent. He leans back, makes eye contact, just listens. Ashley suddenly finds herself adjusting her dress. She looks away, then back. She starts talking faster, even about things that don't matter. Why? Because Ryan's calm energy is unsettling in the best way. It creates tension. It signals confidence. This isn't manipulation, it's presence, and it speaks volumes. Here's the deeper psychology. Nervousness is often the body's reaction to suppressed desire. When someone wants something but doesn't know how to pursue it safely, the nervous system gets involved. Fidgeting, blushing, sudden shifts in behavior. And when you're calm in those moments, you're essentially saying, "You don't have to perform. I see you." That's magnetic. Now, let's loop in Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In the context of attraction, this means, don't be shaken by her reactions. Don't mirror her nervousness. Don't try to overcompensate. Just stay grounded in your own frame. Because high-value men don't need to prove anything. They let their silence do the heavy lifting. When you can sit in stillness, while someone else feels tension, that's dominance without aggression. That's seduction without words. And when a woman feels that, it lingers. It gets under her skin in the most unforgettable way. So, next time you notice a woman reacting this way around, you don't rush to fill the silence. Don't shrink your presence to make her more comfortable. Let her feel it. Let her lean into the discomfort of attraction. That's where chemistry lives. And if you've experienced this, you already know it's real. Tell me in the comments. My calm creates chaos in all the right ways. You don't have to chase. You don't have to talk over the moment. You just have to be still and let her feel you. Sign 10. She remembers tiny details you barely noticed. Here's something you probably didn't expect to be a big deal. You mentioned once, just once, that your favorite coffee spot used to be this tiny hole in the wall joint in Portland where they played 80-second vinyl on Saturdays. A few weeks later, she sends you a picture of a random coffee shop she found with a caption, "They're playing 80-second vinyl. Thought of you." She wasn't trying to impress you. She wasn't doing it to get a reaction. She remembered because she cares. This is one of the most underrated but deeply revealing signs of attraction. She holds on to the little things. The tiny, forgettable comments you dropped casually, those stick with her. They don't just bounce off. They settle somewhere deep. And what does that say? It says you matter. Because when a woman is emotionally engaged with you, her brain doesn't filter your presence the same way it does with others. Her attention sharpens. Her memory gets selective. And what it selects is you. Think about it. We only remember details when we're paying real attention, when we're emotionally invested, when we're not distracted by our phones or by thinking about what to say next. We're simply locked in. In psychological terms, this taps into emotional salience. It's the brain's way of tagging information that carries emotional weight, no matter how small. The way you sip your drink, that offhand joke you made, the song you said reminds you of your childhood. When you're just another guy, those things pass unnoticed. But when you're the guy, those things become landmarks in her emotional map of you. Now, let's tie in some ancient wisdom. Seneca once said, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer." In the same way, remembering a small detail isn't about effort, it's about intent. When she brings up something you barely recall, saying, she's not just showing a sharp memory, she's showing that you live rent-free in her head. That's intimacy. Let's flip the lens for a moment. Think about someone you once had deep feelings for. Didn't you remember the way they laughed at certain jokes? The exact shade of blue their shirt was the night you met? That one random food they hated? It's the same mechanism. So if she does that with you, picking up on a phrase you use often or recalling a story you told months ago, you're not just a guy. You're someone who's made a deep impression. Now, here's a twist you might not expect. Sometimes she'll even pretend she didn't remember just to play it cool. She doesn't want to seem too eager, but the truth always leaks out. She knows more about you than you realize, and it slips through in her questions, her reactions, her gifts, or the way she shows up exactly when you need it. Let me give you a real-world snapshot. Chris, 36, once told Jenna, 30, during a casual late-night talk that he used to miss family BBQs back in Michigan because his schedule never allowed it. It was a one-liner, a throwaway. 2 months later, Chris was feeling low after a rough week at work. Jenna showed up with ribs, corn on the cob, and a 6-pack of root beer. She never said, "I remembered." She just did. That's the kind of remembering that means something. So here's the bottom line. When a woman loves or is on her way to loving, she becomes attuned. She listens between the lines. She notices. Because to her, you're not background noise. You're the main character. And everything you say, even the smallest thing, echoes. It's not about being impressive. It's about being memorable. And that happens when she genuinely feels connected, when her emotional radar is tuned to your frequency. If she remembers the little things, trust me, her feelings aren't little. Let's be real. You've probably walked through life brushing off these signals, thinking you're just some guy, when in reality, you've been radiating more value than you give yourself credit for. The way she locks eyes and looks away. The way people pause when you speak. The way she remembers details you barely noticed. These aren't coincidences. They're the quiet proof that you stand out without even trying, that your presence, your energy, your essence lingers. But here's the key. High-value attraction isn't about being loud. It's not about chasing, proving, or performing. It's about mastering stillness, self-respect, and inner control qualities the Stoics lived by every day. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. If these signs are showing up in your life, don't ignore them. Embrace them. But more importantly, keep becoming the man who naturally creates that kind of gravity. The type of man she notices, even when you say nothing. Now, if this video hit home for you, if one or more of these signs felt familiar, let me hear from you. Drop a comment below and finish this sentence. I realized I'm more attractive than I thought when... Let's normalize quiet confidence. Let's build a space where men can own their worth without shame, ego, or apology. Until next time, stay calm, stay grounded, and let your silence speak louder than words.